I'm orisaey, and this is Peak.
You don't take someone's fucking marshmallows!
Oh my god!
The newest installment in Landfall's endless catalogue of bangers, and the first partnership between them and Aggro Crab, where instead of battling simulators, clustering trucks, or getting content warnings, you straight up climb mountains with up to 3 of your friends. All enemies, but honestly, what's the difference? And although I can and will yap endlessly about this game and its Dark Souls difficulty curve, let's first break down the fundamentals of this mountain climbing simulator with How to Peak, a guide to the Peak gameplay loop. Walk out of the elevator into the airport and customize your character's color, hair, eyes, mouth, and drip. Take a flight on BingBong Airlines. Crash land into a randomly generated island that changes every day. Loot the luggage you crashed with and line your backpacks with equipment. Shitpost with emotes. Brave the mountain towering ahead of you one step at a time. Munch on fruits you shouldn't eat. Complete the unavoidable side quest of falling over and over and over while screaming your lungs out. Wonder why your friends are so tasty. Against all odds, finally peak shore, before healing at a campfire and grabbing either a mythical item or a free team revive from an ancient statue. Realize all of that effort was for one of 5 sections that get exponentially harder as they continue. Repeat the process with 3 more layers worth of random luggage, equipment, edibles, hazards, and every status condition under the sun. Finally peaking the peak of peak. A gameplay loop that, although tried and tested within the roguelike genre minus most of the permadeath, is built upon with a robust climbing system I haven't even scratched the surface of. As you climb, your energy bar slowly drains until it empties, sending you careening off walls to your death. But that's not all that is stored on this bar, as weight, hunger, fatigue, injuries, poison, cold, heat, and revive curse all reduce your total energy until you faint or worse, die. Which, despite temporarily killing you, allows you to haunt your remaining teammates with maximum shitposting potential until you get revived. A trend that follows throughout just about every part of this game. If there's content, there's just as much, if not more, brain rot waiting to rear its head. Such as the very kind of brain rot that perpetrates both rock climbers and gamers alike. Speed. Whether it be speedrunning or speed climbing, throwing yourself at either real or figurative walls is a tale as old as time. And it just so happens Peak has both, leading us to the game's main categories and main category extensions that start off easy with Solo %, BingBong %, and Capybara %, before ending with the hardest challenge this game has to offer, allowing runners everywhere to pick their poison and eventual serotonin, no matter the difficulty that will go in order of. So let's start with Peak's easiest speedruns and OG leaderboard, and I'll get to the category extensions when they're relevant. So first up is the solo, duo, trio, and full squad speedruns that give way to the best runners Peak has to offer, including Chocolate, Penguin Whiz, Orcdren, Mr. Rodal, Cluckersman, Jokoback, Afonti, E-Slide, Twinkie, and Impa for Anchor, respectively. The goats of the OG's short Tropics, Alpine, Caldera route that will split down the middle based on the seeds they run. The very things that dictate the climbable structures and luggage placements of each mountain. And out of the 14 seeds that originally launched with the game, the STAMC route has our runners picked between seed 13 and 7, thanks to the routing simplicity and reliable generation of each. But for consistency's sake, and because the difficulty kind of levels out towards trios and squads, I'll just stick to the seed 13 world records of solo and duos as of August 12th. And for all you Peak heads out there, these trio and squad runs are still in the description, because they are still heat. After their planes crash, our runners wake up on the shores, bunny hop across it, grab their backpacks and score 2 dino energy drinks, a rope gun, 2 big lollipops, a flare, thick mints, 2 sports drinks, an energy drink, and a trail mix before setting off into the run. Starting off, Chocolate, Penguin Whiz, and Orcdren run down the middle of the beach and up the right side of the cliff. Lunging upwards, damage boosting through a poisonous urchin, and lunging some more before collecting an energy drink and chain launcher. Chaining his energy drink with a big lollipop, Chocolate finishes the shore with relative ease. Meanwhile, Penguin Whiz and Orcdren take the same section by weaving back and forth, leading them both to Base Camp 1. Collecting an anti-gravity rope gun and discarding an anti-gravity rope from this ancient statue, our runners enter the next section, Tropics. immediately jumping into and sliding off the area's second most important natural movement tool, vines. Right above them on this totem pole are roots, one of which Chocolate shoots a rope into as the duo climb past it to end up in the same exact place. Reuniting to scale another root, duck under spikes, and continue past this bunch, they nab a sports drink and a rope cannon, jump off this vine and shove themselves through this crack, handling the rest of the area's vertical climb with another lollipop, a normal and anti-grav rope gun, and pure brute force. Thanks to the ancient statue and luggage of Base Camp 2, our pals pick up an anti-grav rope, Pandora's lunchbox, trail mix, granola bar, marshmallow, 2 chain launchers, and a crisp berry across each run, taking them into Alpine, where ice spikes you can climb on and snowstorms that slowly freeze you to death pump up the difficulty. The difficulty that's offset by huddling up or nabbing heat packs to stay warm even in solo runs. Stashing 3 energy drinks and using one of them for its speed boost, a trail mix and sports drink for the extra stamina, and both an anti-grav rope and 2 shell fungi to make shortcuts into Base Camp 3. But beforehand I have to mention the slightly harder speedrun, Capybara %, whereby carrying a bugle all the way to the 3rd biome and playing it to these capybaras chilling in a sauna, runners like Nilan can get the Serenading Animals badge in 12 minutes and 37 seconds, incidentally giving them a new world record. But thanks to the Mesa update, Alpine can now be randomly swapped with the new Mesa biome on every new seed, whose cacti, dust devils, tumbleweeds, and dynamite almost prove harder than Alpine itself. And although we're not looking at Mesa in these runs, we can instead highlight the other side of peak speedrunning, individual level speedruns, where instead of climbing the entire mountain, you just climb to the end of Shore, Tropics, Alpine, Mesa, or Caldera, and light the campfire at the end. So back to the 3rd base camp. Chocolate pulls a Pandora as all 3 runners grab even more energy and sports drinks before launching into Caldera, because after jumping headfirst into the lava below, our runners damage boost through the lava and island hop in basically a straight line, all thanks to the Pandora's lunchboxes and energy drinks they've been hoarding thus far. Oh, and our duo finally pulls a big lollipop and another rope cannon on the climb to our final base camp, which we should probably get to now. And because I can't think of an interesting way to say this, our runners get a sports drink, trail mix, rope cannon, energy drink, and another big lollipop before continuing into the kiln, their route of which can be broken down into 5 steps. Climb both normally and with a big lollipop to the first set of luggage, shooting rope cannons and climbing rope to the second set of luggage, shooting chain launchers and taking them even higher, brute forcing the following section with lollipops and energy drinks, and shooting 2 last chain launchers to the apex of the volcano, allowing our runners to finally drag themselves out of the volcano onto the peak of the mountain itself, as Penguin Whiz and Orctren light a flare and wait 10 seconds to board the helicopter normally, while Chocolate straight up jumps off the edge to the same effect. Meaning our runners can call time on the solo run at 17:44 and the duo run at 23:50. And because solo is the most competitive, it's obviously lowered in the weeks since. But instead of reaching Peak's Peak this way, these runners, the current world record holders of BingBong % and LeaveNoTrace %, on the other hand, used 0 equipment and carried the divorced mascot of BingBong Airlines the entire way up the mountain instead. One taking up valuable space on their stamina bar and in their backpack, and the other making this climb infinitely harder than it has to be. Rounding out Peak's OG leaderboard in a majority of its category extensions, while 2 of its biggest and most difficult kahunas still remain, Max % and Ascent 7%. The All Achievements run where you collect all 42 badges the game has to offer, and the game's hardest challenge run where you face 7 stat debuffs and difficulty curveballs we'll get to later, which may or may not be worth the struggle because of the Goat Scout title it provides. But let's look at Max % first, because no one has been insane enough to do it yet, and I kind of want to rank these badges. In our first tier is everything I've already covered, being the badges you get for clearing each area on top of the Animal Serenading, BingBong, and LeaveNoTrace badges. Below it is the You've Probably Done This Casually tier, with the Arborist, Pirate, Esoteria, and Happy Camper badges only scratching the surface. All because, as you inevitably hit the game's natural skill ceiling, you'll eventually fulfill the quota of the First Aid, Toxicology, Emergency Preparedness, Participation, and High Altitude badges. Next up is You've Probably Checked SteamDB. Because although you might be able to do these things casually, I assume you looked up exactly how to get these before you nabbed them. Which is exactly where the endurance, bouldering, mycology, foraging, cooking, naturalist, and gourmand badges meet. Bringing us to the 3 badges, and you've climbed too many mountains. That starts with the bookworm badge that immediately breaks this run's consistency, as it requires you to find all 8 of the Scoutmaster scrolls, because they have a random chance at spawning at different campfires depending on the entry number, leaving your chances of getting all 8 in the least amount of runs up to RNG, since you might get lucky and roll 4, but you're more likely to get only 1 or 2. Anyway, these scrolls talk about Scoutmaster Myers, who after crash landing with his own troop in Entry 1, adds bonus rules to his guidebook as he and his fellow scouts try to reach the peak and signal for help. Set abridged rules are: scan your shrooms, gather around the fire, embrace the occult, huddle up, I just need a nap, where did everyone go, and never abandon a friend in need. Which, when strung together, says he climbed pretty far with his scout troop before eating a napberry, passing out from eating it, and promptly getting left behind. Breaking Rule 0 that would turn him into what you find when playing the Scoutmaster's Google, and completing the mentorship badge, as he throws you back down the mountain to your death. He also turns up if you leave your teammates more than 200 meters behind you, but that's what you get for breaking the rules. For the rest of Too Many Mountains, we have the Clutch, Lone Wolf, Survivalist, and Not Tying badges. Lastly is the Good Luck tier, as you need a bit more than a salute and a prayer to do what I consider some of the hardest achievements in the game. Being the Balloon badge, divvied up for escaping the island without taking any fall damage, and the Speed Climber badge, given for escaping the island in under an hour. Oh, and the Mesa update added the Aeronautics, Astronomy, Needlepoint, Daredevil, Resourcefulness, Ultimate, Mega Entomology, Cool Cucumber, Nomad, and 24 Carat badges, whose instructions get out of hand fast. And it turns out the new Scout Cannon makes half of these hard achievements the easiest. And although getting these badges over the course of a month or 2 of playtime is easy, getting all of them in a minimum of 2 runs, in a maximum of who knows how many, and in less than 10 hours for your sanity, is somehow both possible and actual peak behavior. But what's better than peak behavior? Goat behavior, of course, which is where the game's additional difficulties come in, starting with the easy Tenderfoot, where climbing takes less stamina, hunger grows slowly, and fog doesn't rise. Continuing with the game's default difficulty of Peak, whose completion unlocks the Tadpole Scout title, the Tadpole Scout Sash, and the first of the Ascent difficulties, whose greater fall damage gives way to Ascent 2. Where on top of hunger growing faster also adds the previous debuff modifiers, a trend that follows through Ascent 3, items have increased weight. Ascent 4, there are no flares at the top of the mountain. Ascent 5, the night is cold. Ascent 6, climbing takes additional stamina. And finally, Ascent 7, you cannot revive the dead. Giving you the Goat Scout title, the Golden Goat Scout Sash, the Goat Horns, and the satisfaction that you never have to do this again. Unless you're a speedrunner like Offspec, because being able to master Ascent 7 and its modifiers quickly becomes a secondary objective to beating it as fast as possible. So why not cap off this video with this entire run from start to finish? 3, 2, 1, hit it. And that is why rock climbing streamer Friendslop is harder than Dark Souls. Because behind a coat of deceptively simple gameplay and goober art style lies probably one of the best and hardest speedrunning games of 2025. This was even a Game Jam game, but AggroCrab's additions and frequent updates, their collaboration with Landfall, and the Friendslop genre's ability to latch onto tens of thousands has created one of the best and most replayable multiplayer games of the decade. And that's the video. So I'll see you in the next one, I guess. Orisaey out.